How's it going, everybody? Silent Deviant here with the third boss guide for Fatal Bullet, which is for the shooting Phage. It's either a level 25 or a level 95 boss, depending on the difficulty that you're on, and it is the third boss of the game, which is very similar to the Acurachnoid enemy types. Fun fact, did you know that Phage is just a shortened term for a virus that reproduces inside of a bacterium? Fucking gross, dude. And it has literally nothing to do with the content of this video, but I felt like sharing anyway. This big metal spider is pretty much exactly the same as the previous ones that you've encountered in its dungeon, and there's even a unique enemy target that's the same enemy type as well. Shooting Phage is the area boss of the Remnant Wasteland that you can find in the cave. Literally, that's it for the dungeon name. The final dungeon that you encounter the area boss in, well, it's really boring. Hell, the Cave Before Time would have been a better name. Anyway, this boss isn't very interesting, to be honest, so let's make this a pretty quick one, shall we? Welcome to the shortest segment of this guide, because Shooting Phage has 3 attacks, and only one of them is a real threat. When you enter the boss chamber, he will immediately open up by shooting a series of 3 rockets at you, obvious from the bullet line. There are walls arranged all around the room that you can use as cover from the rockets, and it's always in sets of 3. When he's not standing still like a dum-dum or firing rockets, he's doing 2 other things. Most likely the boss will be baby stomping around the room, firing a Gatling gun wildly, and hoping that he clips you with a few shots. So long as you don't get stun-locked into too many of these bullets, then you should be fine, so stay moving. And finally, his melee attack, which is a circular rotation of his legs that will send you and any nearby allies hurtling backwards. Unless, of course, you're like me and you always have Human Fortress up. This attack is telegraphed by a sudden cease in movements, and the body, or abdomen? Maybe? I don't fucking know. Look, the middle of his body will dip down is what I mean, Jesus. Alrighty folks, let's go over some defensive strats. Like I said, this boss should be pretty simple, however it's always good to know how to deal with attacks and better ways to increase your damage output. Which means you can grind faster, which in MMORPG terms means more money and more loot. Efficiency is everything, after all. The biggest problem is the rockets, so the best way to dodge these is... You ready for this? Circle around him. Seriously, that's it. No strings attached, no fancy tactics, just disengage and circle sprint. You can even move at a brisk walking pace if you're far enough away. La-di-da-di-da-di-doo. Another option is to use Shield Matrix if you want a more bold approach. The level 2 version lasts long enough for all 3 shots, so as long as the duration doesn't increase from 1 to 2, then you should be able to do the same thing with the initial skill. The last option that I highly suggest is something that you should have very easy access to in Extreme Mode, which is the Anti-AR Veil. This tool is incredibly useful, not just for the Gatling gun, but it also works for the rockets on top of it. Take note that explosions are really stupid in this game and can hit you from behind cover, so staying too close to the wall will result in still taking damage. As for the Gatling gun, like I said earlier, circling this guy basically makes you John Cena. He can't see you, and if he can't see you, he can't hurt you. Much. But the damage should be superficial. As for the melee knockback, just stay off being directly in his face and you should be fine. If you're a sword, then back off when you see the telegraph I mentioned earlier. Okay, it's time for offensive information now. So dealing damage to this guy is relatively simple. The weak spot is exactly where it looks like. It's a really big target versus a lot of other enemies in the game. Just mind the spider's legs when you shoot, they seem to always be in the goddamn way. I find that shotguns do a ton of damage to spiders in this game, and it's mostly because of that weak spot. It tends to take every single one of the pellets very easily. And if you can get your hands on something semi-automatic, i.e. the Valkyrie shotgun, then you will work wonders on this guy. The impact wind should be pretty easy to attain from the barrage automatons in the cave dungeon. However, if you don't have it, then try something else like the peacock. I'm pretty sure that they drop from this chest in normal mode as a guaranteed drop, but don't hold me to that. This boss is also very easy to stagger as well, so quick shot can be an amazing choice here. Explosives also kick spider ass, so this can be a very practical way to take him out. A well-placed explosive shot on a sniper rifle or any applicable gun can hit its weak point, if you position it right, which causes massive damage, although I find that the explosive shot is always weird with how it hits weak points. And then finally we have status ailments. Nothing really to report here, as they work just as well on this guy as well as any other boss, really. In this video in particular, I messed around with fire a lot. Stun is a very good choice considering how easy it is to cause a stagger as well, and a few stuns in between will leave him vulnerable for a good portion of the fight. Alrighty, like I said, this guy's pretty straightforward, as were the first two guides to be perfectly honest, but hey, here's 5 ways to approach this enemy in expert mode to give you an idea of what he's like from multiple different playstyles. Before that, however, we're going to tackle this guy with my normal mode save. As you can see, my vitality is even higher than it was last time thanks to gear. Agility is a bit higher as well for survivability and some skill access. We'll be using a rare impact wind shotgun and a Kusanagi burst handgun. This pistol should be a pretty solid choice with quick shot. And our accessories are the Vitality Promise Ring and a 25 plus Vitality eye patch. My pistol skills are set for some damage dealer buffs as well as quick shot, of course. And as for my shotgun, it is rife with tanking skills. I also bought more gadgets to use as well, so we have 2 grenades now and a knife to save some ammo. My Orifice is now set up with more intelligence and luck as well as agility for the skills. Her handgun has self buffs and a quick shot, as well as her heal. And her sniper rifle skills are just filler. Honestly, I have no idea what the fuck to put there right now. Her gadgets are about the same, but there's a mine instead, and her equipment sports yet another Kusanagi and that old Sigmund Freud sniper rifle. Haven't found a better one, so it'll have to suffice for now. Her accessories aren't really special, but the glasses have good all-around defense. I went with Lisbeth and Argo for allies because, well, Liz buffs and stuns the enemy while Argo is a decent tank. Funny thing about this recording is I thought I missed the fast travel point before the boss, but then I noticed after running the dungeon again that it was just the wrong map. Whoopsie poopsie. Anyway, to be perfectly honest, the facsimiles were harder to fight than this boss was. Just turn off the auto-aim, go for the weak point with that shotgun or whatever your weapon of choice is, and then just let him have it. Just don't forget to circle around him when he starts firing rockets at you, or they're gonna do some damage. Either that or just fucking face tank it, I don't really give a shit. Play the game how you want. Old Dexy is next. Dex and Agility give you access to some pretty good DD skills. Agility has ScatterWheel and of course Quick Shot, which are both hella useful. And if you spec some intelligence, you can set them on fire or stack some poison as well. The stats are no different, but are set up as a handgun with Quick Shot 2, Speed Form 2, Evasive Roll, and Omnia Vanitas 2. And our shotgun has Armor Form, Human Fortress 2, a Dodge as well, and Explosive Shot 2 just for funsies. Shotgun doesn't have too many good DD skills, so that's always my filler. We have a Flashbang, Camouflage, and of course AR Veil, since I found them the most useful. And as for gear, I managed to find an old Valkyrie rank 5 shotgun and a Dovery pistol rank 5 to cut my damage back a bit. Accessories aren't too important, but I went with the Agility Promise Ring and a beret that we're going to recycle a lot for the explosion resist. And the auto regen, of course, is always good. Dexy has a support Orifice with these stats that sports the following skill set. Curing Field won't be necessary, as shooting Phage doesn't really give status ailments. Her weapons are default and not nerfed below rank 7 as well. I wanted to test if the Veil worked first for rockets, and I was actually really shocked to find out that they did. Anyway, for this setup, if you decided to go with Kureha and Lisbeth, instead of what I did the first time with Argo, then you get a tank that can actually keep armor and power break shot on the boss for you, which frees up a lot of skill options for you or your Orifice. So basically, you can just shred him with the Valkyrie, or the handgun with Quick Shot, which clearly does an assload of damage with the Dovery. Rinse, wash, repeat until you secure your victory. Also, I totally forgot to test out ScatterWheel on this fight, so here's another recording of that. I was hoping it got better results for hitting his weak spot, but I was mistaken. It's still an excellent choice, though, for agility skills, no matter what way that you look at it. And how about tanking this boss? To put it bluntly, tanking works really well. I went with a slightly different approach for my tank this time as well. Our stats are unaltered from my usual loadout, and our skills are actually set up for a rocket launcher and a fucking Gatling gun. I've never used a Gatling gun before, so this was a fun test. The rocket has our tanking skills, while the Gatling gun has our DD skills and graviton shots, since we're spending most of our time on the Gatling gun. I managed to scrap up a rank 4 Gatling gun as well with the following chips, and the default explosion rocket launcher, of course. Our accessories consist of this beret and the Strength Promise Ring. Finally, to finish the build, we're going to run around in a bikini, just because it's ridiculous. Looking at our Orifice, we have a Dex-based DD with default stats. Her skills are particularly groundbreaking with some buffs and Shield Matrix as her shoddy, and then we have some basic ScatterWheel, Blazing Blast, and mobility skills on the SMG. The only thing to take note from her gadgets is her ignition knives here. Her weapons are default with that Valkyrie++ and a Spiral Shadow++. Her only notable accessory is an Agility Promise Ring. I didn't really care to change them. An easy tank strategy is to buff up, place your Veil, and then light him up from behind said Veil. Sometimes he likes to curl his rockets over the top of your Veil, so do that at your own risk. Anyway, keep your aggro skills up and literally just tank and spank. If you want to use the Gatling gun like I did, try not to overheat. You can even put a second heat detonator on your Gatling gun if you want to be more trigger happy. And of course you have your Shield Matrix to keep you safe until the Spire falls over. Now how about a sniping setup? Just for quick reference here are my stats that I use, which are default of course, just like everything in this video I'm pretty sure. And these are our skills. Armor and Power Break Shot are completely unnecessary with Kureha, but I didn't have any other options. Our weapons are Rank 5 AMR Assassin from the last video and the Dovery from the Dex run. Our Arphasis is our new tank. These are her stats, and I did boost her intelligence to 32 for Healing Bullet too, so I lied 30 seconds ago. Her skills are all defensive and aggro gain stuff as well. Her weapons are rank 7 but no matter. So the cool thing about sniping with tanks in your party is that you can literally just be a wallflower and take some choice shots on the weak point. Explosive Shot is always nice too because it's an easy stagger, and it's a skill that can hit hard if you hit his face just fucking right. In summary, sniping is easy and effective. Next, healing. Well, as is usual, healing is easy. I kept the default stats of course, and you can make your job even easier by focusing on status ailments on top of it. Kureha, of course, will place debuffs on the enemy, so put your status skills on a gun with debuff stacking if you can, and then the healing skills on the other one. We'll be using the same Dovery as before, and this Sylph Assault Rifle that I won't even really be firing. This loadout sets Giselle to Dex again, who I set to tank with a shotgun once more, and some DD skills on her SMG. We're both using Blazing Blast to keep things spicy in here. This approach can be a little bit slower than the others, but it's definitely safer and easier. Just focus on healing as expected, set everybody to attack your target, and then inflict burning, stun, and or poison whenever at all possible. And then when you're just bored, go ahead and hit them with a quick shot. And, well, that's about all that I got for support there. And now back to the sword setup. Swords seem to trivialize a lot in this game, and this boss is definitely no different. So here are our stats, once again default. Our skills are just a few buffs on the SMG. Make sure that you have Human Fortress, that's a big one. And Armor Form is also really useful. As for your sword, I personally really love Horizontal Square, but you can really fill this with any skills that you want for 3 of them. The 4th one I would recommend to put a Shield Matrix on. Star Splash is also really effective against the shooting Phage because he doesn't really move that much. As for gear, nothing really special to be honest. I dug up an old rank 4 sword just to nerf the damage output a bit. As for our Arphasis, the sword loadout makes her support again, so here's her stats, followed by skills. And then this time I went with Blazing Blast too, so we can really keep the Pyromaniac shit going. And her Sniper Rifle actually has critical buffs and Nanotech Shot. These skills are really fucking good, especially Nanotech Shot, because it buffs all of your stat parameters by a given percentage. This buff also stacks with any other buffs that you give on top of it, if it wasn't already OP enough. Anyway, sword is pretty brainless. You run in, you stab it, and then you run back out. Occasionally use a shield matrix if you need to, or really if you just get bored and you want to do something that requires some kind of thought process to it. If you actually put Star Splash into your skills, then I would recommend to use that only when he stops walking, just to maximize its usefulness. There's nothing worse than trying to lunge at an enemy with a sword just for it to nonchalantly fucking walk away from you. How rude. And there we go, guys. Shooting Phage. Like I said, very simple enemy type. Just circle around him a lot just to avoid getting lobotomized by rockets. Anti-AR Veil does work as well. And then finally just, well, you know, shoot him. Like, in the face. It just works! To quote the fucking legendary lines from Todd Howard of Bethesda, it just works. Shoot him in the face. It's really all that I can tell you guys for that one. So I'll see you later. Take it easy. That was completely improvised, by the way. I have no idea where that came from. Alright, I'm done.